this, and he said, "Y'all baby daddies don't have none of those high standards y'all be talking about." This is why Facebook is the ghetto of social media, because I understand what you're saying, but it don't make sense. Why come if I make a mistake and date a Dusty or get pregnant by a Dusty? I learn from my mistakes, but I have a child. You can't undo the child. Why the hell do you think I'm supposed to continue the mistake? Y'all be just loud, bitter, and wrong. This status probably came from somebody who would never meet that girl's standards. She probably said, "No, this is not what I'm looking for." And then he was like, "Oh, well, why not? Because oh, baby dad." That's why. That's exactly the reason why. I don't want anything that reminds me of my baby father, the person that I left. If I wanted someone to remind me of him, then guess what? I would be with him. But no. So, yes, I made a mistake. I love my child, but the person I had the child with was the wrong person to have a child with. Now I want better for myself.
I think where men sort of lose, where you lose men on this sort of ideal, this sort of belief, we understand that you want to do better because you made mistakes. Men are just saying there's some mistakes that you make that you cannot fully walk back from. If you call your situation with your baby daddy mistake, what men are saying also is you have to acknowledge it. You have to sit in it and you have to say, and when I sit in it, I don't mean just saying and dog him out like he's this, he doesn't do this, he doesn't do this. Men want to know, at what point did you see these things? When you have so much vitriol for that man, we're left to saying, then why were you with him? And especially when you're saying that you were with him for an extended period of time, and then it was the baby some is recent. We're just saying, like, at what point did you not see these things? Men understand that mistakes happen. That's fine. Mistakes absolutely happen. But when you don't own up to them, when you try to minimize your part in the mistake, that's when men get off the train and say, no. Outside of the obvious saying, now that you've made those mistakes, and these are life changing mistakes, to call it a mistake seems sort of silly. If we were playing chess, they would say that was a blunder because it affects the entire outcome of the rest of the game. Men see that and they just want to have an answer for why that happened and why you try to make it seem like it's something irrelevant, something silly. Guys, before we continue to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell because I've been talking to a lot of people on the channel say, yeah, it was off, it was off, it was off. I'm not blaming you guys. I'm not putting on you. It's just a YouTube thing. It happens from time to time. As the channel grows, we're probably still going to have that same message go out. Hey, just go in there, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Listen, share the video. We just did a live yesterday, and I jumped on live real quick to talk about some current events. It's just ways I want to decrease the gap between the subscribers and myself and the larger YouTube. So look forward to that. Sometimes they'll be random. Sometimes we're random. I apologize for that. And then sometimes I'll still try to do set lives. If I can get to the point where I can do at least one or two a week, I think that'll be a good spot. But for now, we're building it while we fly it. So let's continue with this video.
And you, what's not clicking? What's not clicking? The unfortunate reality is a lot of women go through these things and then they find out later down the road that they actually should have had some type of moral, some decorum about themselves, and they want better. And that is nothing wrong with it. The problem is, why do you have to sleep with somebody and have a child to realize that wanting better and doing better is what you should have been doing in the first place?
That's the question men are asking. Right? I don't know if she's trying to pose that towards men as if it's something that we're responsible for. If you could, the ideal is that you look at your parents, you look at your aunties, your uncles, you look at the generation before you, or you look at people that are older than you but still within your same generation, and you look and see their outcomes. Some things for men seem obvious; they just seem painfully obvious. Having a child when you're young with a man that is arguably less than seems to be something that's going to make life difficult for you. What we see as men is sort of a disregard for that. What do I mean by that? Or what's an example of that? You have multiple children with that same deadbeat, awful guy. So we're confused. We're left like, wait a second. You knew he was bad, and you had two or three of his children. And then we'll hear reasoning like, well, I wanted all my kids to have the same father. Okay, right? That's admirable. That's fine. And you shouldn't be shamed. You shouldn't be attacked for that belief, that a way of doing things. What men are further saying is that, yeah, that kind of cuts you off from a lot of guys. A lot of guys that you now, with your wisdom, with your learning experience, that you want better. A lot of guys are saying, yeah, that's not what I want. That's not something that I think is good for me or something that I'm willing to entertain. This is when the communications tend to start breaking down. This is when we get the pushback. This is when we get the back and forth of you feeling, women feeling shamed, and women chime in if I think I'm off base here, or if you just want to sit here and add something to the conversation, where you're feeling shamed or attacked or put down for your choices that you made early in life. Men are just, we understand that those choices still follow you. You had a child with a guy that you were telling the world that he is a complete fool, he's a bum, he's broke, he's a dusty, and we look and we're just saying, you guys are attached forever. That, that bum, that dusty, that broke dude, that's your dude, right? Even if you guys aren't in a relationship, that's still a reflection of the type of men you're around. What men often do, right? And I'm giving away some of the game here. What men often do is we like to compare ourselves to who you've been with before. You're going to have a large subset of men saying, I don't want to be, I, that they'd rather you not be with anyone before. We like to pretend like you were just here, right? We don't like to hear about the past. Um, there's a multitude of reasons. We can get to that in another video. But we see these things and we're like, okay, what type of dude was that? Right? We compare. That's how men sort of go about business. We compare and contrast. So yeah, sometimes there's no maliciousness about it. We just want to try to understand, where is the through line. If you've dealt with bums and clowns all your life, now at a switch of a dime, you want something else. That's cool. You can want it. Those men are just going to say, what type of company am I in? We're not saying that you're currently dealing with the guy that you put in a roster. If you are, again, separate conversation. We just want to know, you've got a history dealing with bums. Bums, you allowed bums to become a part of your life and you gave them the highest honor and you've been with them. How do I now fit into that? We don't like to be associated with that. If you're associated with high status men and you come after me, I might feel flattered. Oh wow, okay. This is your not your ceiling, but this is your atmosphere. Men were competitive like that. We compare and contrast like that. So when you suddenly want better in your life because you're realizing the choices I've made have gotten me this, and the important thing, you haven't done any type of work to transform you from to kill the person you were to let the new person you want to be, you're trying to be born. When you haven't done that, all that has happened is flips on a calendar. Now you just say, I want better, but you have a veritable um focused, we can see the luggage that you're coming with. You have two, three, four kids, but you want better. And men are saying, I love that for you, but that's not for me. You're not my person, because what's for me, right? We like to say that. Women like to say, what's for me will never pass you. I'm going to let you pass me. I'm going to let you pass me. So it's fine. You want to do better. We encourage that. We applaud that. But you have to get these lessons in. And I know it's unfair, right? We're not saying that it's fair. It's not saying it's right. But women have the disadvantage of having to get things in their life in order earlier, quicker. Otherwise, life gets very unfair, very cruel, very unjust, and turns it back on you very early. Especially if you're impoverished, you don't have a lot of money, you don't have resources, you don't have the community behind you. The life will show you just how much it does not care for you because it's deemed you, I don't want to say life is deemed your favor. Society looks at United States society, the United States economy looks and say, you're not a productive member of society any longer. We're just going to have these scraps, these resources that are available for you. They're just enough to get you by, not to transform you from where you are to success. Now the society is looking at you and saying, you need to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. You have this, then you have a child, or you have multiple children. You don't have the help, you don't have the community, but now you just want something better. Men just are like, yeah, I see that game. I see how that works. You are going to have to be better to get something better. And before you try to get yourself out of that position, it's something my mom used to say, and I'm sure other moms said it. I don't want to say that this is exclusively her, But you said prevention is worth, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you don't do these things early on, or you don't find yourself in positions, you have a better chance of getting the things you want. Not saying that you can't, if you have a kid, you can't get the thing you want. You just have to make up for it in different areas. I think that's a fair thing to say. And and that's a genderless piece of advice. The same thing goes for men. You screw up your life early on, right? Women are fine looking and saying, "Who were you with? Where were you? Where have you been?" "Oh, I was in and out of prison." This is, yeah, a lot of women say that's not for me, right? You can feel like, yo, but I learned my lesson. I'm trying to do better. That's not for me. And you can't jump down their throats just the same way you don't want us jumping down yours. That's fair. Guys, if you think I missed something, let me know down in the comments. If you really agree with me, again, let me know down in the comments.